In a major verdict in 1984 Delhi Sikh riot cases, the Delhi High Court has convicted former Congress lawmaker Sajjan Kumar in connection with the killing of 8 Sikhs in Delhi's cantonment area. He has been sentenced to life imprisonment. Earlier, the trial court had acquitted him. The Central Bureau of Investigation had challenged Kumar's acquittal by the trial court. The CBI told the Delhi High Court that Sajjan Kumar had instigated the mob. It had argued that Sajjan Kumar, along with 4 other convicts, had planned communal riots and were involved in ethnic cleansing after the assassination of then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi.
Sajjan Kumar को उम्र कैद मिली है, उसकी सारी उम्र उसकी मौत तक, और बाकी 3 को और को उम्र कैद है, जो एक्स काउंसिलर बलबन खोखर और जो गरदारी लाल और कैप्टन बागमाल, उनको भी उम्र कैद है, और जो एक्स एमएलए महेंद्र यादव है उसको 10 साल की, कृष्ण खोखर को भी 10 साल की.
The court, in its order, said it is important to assure the victims that despite the challenges, truth will prevail. It further stated that the aftershock of those atrocities is still being felt. The court noted that the criminals had enjoyed political patronage, also saying that there were abject police failure as the police failed to act against the inability of the victims to file complaints. Meanwhile, BJP's Arun Jaitley lambasted the Congress after the verdict.
Thousands of innocents were burnt and killed. The mobs were led all over by congressmen and Congress leaders. And instead of ensuring that justice is done to the victims and the guilty are punished, the Congress governments repeatedly during that period indulged in a cover-up exercise. The first part of the cover-up exercise was that the truth must not come out at all. So when civil liberties organizations came out with a whole report on 84 riots, that report was banned by the Congress government in 1984-85. Thereafter, an inquiry, a commission of inquiry by a sitting judge of the Supreme Court was appointed. And surprisingly, that commission did not blame the government.
And on this issue, I'm joined by K.T. Susi, senior lawyer who practices in the Supreme Court. So thank you for joining us on WION on this issue. And my first question to you is, after nearly 30 years, the perpetrators have finally been convicted. Why do you think that it took so long to punish Sajjan Kumar?
You see, the delay took place because in every case there were policemen also who were a party to the conspiracy, and therefore it was they did not register FIRs, they did not record witnesses' statements honestly, they destroyed the files, misplaced the files, and that is why it took almost a dozen commissions of inquiry to unearth the truth. At that time in 84, the Supreme Court was not as proactive as it is these days. After 1990 only, the continuing writ of mandamus was invented, and after that alone the Supreme Court became, we got the concept of monitoring of investigation by the court. If all these facilities were available earlier, perhaps we would have had, we have got justice much earlier.
The judgment says majority of the perpetrators of these horrific mass crimes enjoyed political patronage from your party and were also aided by an indifferent law enforcement agency. So what's your response to this?
Yes, of course they enjoyed patronage, and that because they were, you see, they were hand in glove. The police was hand in glove with these politicians, and they were lending protection to each other. That's the misfortune of all the cases of mass murder.
My question was that this warrants a response from the Congress party. Not much has been said today. The swearing-in ceremony took place. Don't you think Congress should say something on this issue substantially?
No. Whether they say anything about the Congress party or not, the question is, it's only those who are charged with the offence who can be punished. And all this, if you try and use it for political purpose, it will be a travesty of justice.
Newly elected Maldivian President Ibrahim Mohamed Solih, who is on a 3-day visit to India, has met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. This is Solih's first India visit after taking over as Maldives president. During the talks, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has promised all help to Maldives. He also announced a series of financial assistance to the island nation. The Maldivian president also paid homage to Mahatma Gandhi at Rajghat. This will be exchange of the Republic.
भारत हमेशा आपके साथ है। मुझे खुशी है कि इस प्रतिबद्धता की प्रत्यक्ष अभिव्यक्ति के तौर पर मालदीव के सामाजिक आर्थिक विकास के लिए बजट सपोर्ट, करेंसी स्वैप और रियायती लाइंस ऑफ क्रेडिट के रूप में 1.4 बिलियन अमेरिकी डॉलर की आर्थिक सहायता भारत मालदीव को प्रदान करेगा।
And I'm joined by my colleague Siddhant Simbal, our principal correspondent, live from New Delhi. Siddhant, tell me, how does this visit marks a paradigm shift?
Well, it marks an important shift in the policy from Mali, because we know what happened under Yamin administration, who jumped pro-India, India first policy and became pro-Beijing. Today, the Maldivian president reaffirmed pro-India policy. He said that India first is the main policy, main foreign policy of Maldives. And today was the main day of engagement. We saw the press statements being made by the Maldivian president and the Prime Minister of India. The key outcomes were on first, Indian Ocean region, where both the countries said that not only there will be a joint patrolling, especially through drones, but also both the countries would not allow their territories to be used against each other by any third party. That's a strong statement, given the fact that China had a strong presence under Yamin administration in Maldives. Second, of course, India announcing a package of $1.4 billion and aid package, a financial package to Maldives, a country that, of course, is facing financial crisis.
But apart from the fact that there are a lot of proposals on the table, do you tell us how, in principle, in terms of business, strategic affairs, defense, this partnership will improve for good when it comes to India? Because it also saw a great downturn when Yamin was in power.
Well, yesterday, one of the first engagements by the Maldivian president who arrived yesterday was with the Indian business leaders. He said Maldives is open for business, for Indian businesses who, of course, suffered under the Yamin administration, under whom even work permits were not being given to Indians. Indians form a key backbone of the Maldivian economy. And one of the other key outcome of today's meeting was a visa pact that replaces the old regime, comes in a new regime which helps the Indians and Maldivians who want to come to their respective countries without facing obstacles. Earlier they used to face obstacles. On defense, of course, we saw how the first reaction was given by the new Maldivian defense minister to WION when a question was asked, will the 2 helicopters which India provided be given back, which Yamin under Chinese pressure wanted to do so, which the new administration said that they won't be giving back the 2 helicopters. So there is a paradigm shift, and this shift is grow to continue, because we know that Solih is not only pro-India but wants to increase ties with New Delhi.
Which is emanating from Pakistan but has to do with India. And the story is about Hamid Nihal Ansari, Indian prisoner. Hamid Nihal Ansari is set to finally walk out of jail after 6 years. Now, Pakistan's foreign ministry has made the official announcement. Now, spokesperson of Pakistan's foreign ministry, Dr. Mohammad Faisal, tweeted, and I quote, Hamid Nihal Ansari, an Indian spy who had illegally entered Pakistan and was involved in anti-state crimes and forging documents, is being released upon completion of his sentence and is being repatriated to India. Now, Ansari's jail term ended on December 15th. Hamid Nihal Ansari was arrested in Pakistan in 2012 for allegedly entering the country without valid documents. He entered through Afghanistan to meet a girl he had befriended online. A Pakistani military court had tried him on the charge of espionage and handed a 3-year sentence in 2015. Now, legal experts had argued that Ansari should have been freed earlier because he had already served 3 years in jail since 2012. India's External Affairs Ministry sent a note verbal for formal communication to Pakistan on December 11th, in which it said that Pakistan had shown no consideration for Ansari's pre-trial custody or provided information on charges levelled against him. Reports say that there are at least 11 other Indian prisoners in Pakistani jails who have not been released even after they had completed their sentences and their identities confirmed by Indian officials. There were also 2 instances in recent months of Pakistan not informing India of the death of 2 prisoners. And I'm joined by Qazi Anwar, lawyer of Hamid Nihal Ansari from Peshawar, the first person who tended to him and who fought his case. Sir, my first question to you is that what is your reaction on hearing that the person you fought for in the courts, Hamid Nihal Ansari, will be released tomorrow?
Yes, I'm hopeful that he should be, because a few minutes back, BBC wanted to confirm from me whether he has been released, because BBC had the reports that he has been released from the jail. I contacted the jail authorities and they confirmed that he has not so far been released, he is not jail, but the Interior Ministry today collected his photo from the jail authorities, that they said Indian High Commission wants his photo, and that has been communicated to the Indian High Commission. So hopefully the documents should be ready today anytime, and he should be released either before sunset or tomorrow after sunrise.
But sir, what were the issues you encountered during this case?
This is a long story, 3-year story, different stages. It's not one writ. These 3 years I had 5 writ petitions. Sometime for his remission, sometime for better treatment, sometime for medical treatment. So many problems he had faced, but very courageously, and I appreciate that the boy is a very fine boy. He cooperated with the authorities also, and everybody was happy with him. I had met him last Saturday in jail, and he was very fine.
Thank you so much, Mr. Qazi Anwar, for joining us. Let me remind our viewers that Qazi Anwar was the person who actually took Nihal Hamid Ansari's case in Pakistan when other people were not very interested. I'm joined by Anas Malik, our bureau chief from Islamabad. Anas, tell me, once he is released, what will happen? Is he going to walk out tomorrow itself, or he's going to be staying put in the consulate, High Commissioner in Islamabad? Can you just take us through the itinerary very quickly?
Well, Karthik, currently Hamid Nihal, as we speak, he is lost in the internment center of the Mardan jail. That is roughly 200 kilometers from where I am in Islamabad. From Mardan, early morning tomorrow, he'll be taken to Peshawar. Then from Peshawar, he'll be flown to Islamabad, where I am. From Islamabad, then he'll be flown to Lahore. From Lahore, once he lands in Lahore, then he'll be taken down the road to Wagah. From Wagah to Atari, the crossover is done to Atari, Amritsar, and then onwards to Delhi. The custody of Hamid Nihal Ansari from Mardan up till Lahore, up till Wagah to be precise, he will be in the protective custody of the Pakistani agencies, and then once at Wagah, then he will be formally handed over to the Indian High Commission officials. That is what we are being told. His travel documents are indeed ready as we speak. They're completed. He will be taken via helicopter on all of this route. That's what jail sources, the Mardan jail sources, they're confirming to WION. Yes, Karthik.
Thank you, Anas. Thank you. Falling short of time, but my bureau chief from Islamabad, Anas Malik, has very quickly told us, given us the itinerary, which means that tomorrow, in all likelihood, he is going to cross the border. He's in Mardan. From Mardan, he goes to Peshawar. From Peshawar, he goes to Islamabad. From Islamabad to Lahore, and then he crosses Atari. Now, Russian lawmakers have introduced a bill to reduce the country's dependence on foreign internet infrastructure. The legislation has been submitted to the State Duma. It was drafted in wake of what the legislators called aggressive nature of American cybersecurity strategy adopted in September 2018. The bill talks about America's desire to maintain dominance in defining, shaping, and policing cyberspace. place. According to the proposed legislation, Moscow must significantly decrease dependence on the national internet sector on foreign infrastructure. The document envisions setting up a national groundwork to keep Russia's internet functional even if servers abroad become unavailable for any reason. This includes creation of an entirely new system of national domain names and other systems in place. On this, I'm joined by Julia Chapman, WION correspondent from Moscow. Julia, is it really possible to create an ecosystem in Russia, what China is attempting to do so, a closed internet ecosystem?
Well, that's what everybody's asking. How realistic is this proposal, really, this draft legislation that has been introduced by a number of Russian lawmakers? And a number of experts are saying that it's actually very unlikely that it could ever come to fruition because it's far too complicated to really implement in the same way that the Chinese have done. And the Russian lawmakers who introduced this draft legislation are arguing that that's actually not what they're aiming to do in the first place. This is more of a backup system for the Russian internet. They're not trying to create their own Russian internet, they say. They're simply trying to decrease dependence on foreign infrastructure when it comes to Russian internet access. And they say they're doing so in an effort to protect Russian internet users from any kind of crackdown. Specifically, they mentioned from the United States. So the United States earlier this year identified Russia and a number of other countries as having been behind a few cyber attacks on US and other countries on their digital infrastructure. And so there are fears here in Russia that that kind of reaction could provoke some sort of crackdown on the Russian internet users. And so these Russian lawmakers are trying to prevent anyone in Russia being cut off from the internet by creating a sort of duplicate Russian internet.
Julia, is it also because of the fact that this the bills which have been created in America and the reaction from Russia is also taking place because in past 3 to 4 years information and the circulation of news has been weaponized by nations, states and security agencies?
There's certainly an element of that, and indeed in this draft legislation it was said that one of the uses for this particular system would be in order to prevent access to illegal extremist material. Now how that is defined, of course, is the main thing that's up for debate. Who decides what's considered extremist material? That's already a law in Russia. Accessing and posting, sharing extremist material is illegal, and it's up to the Russian media watchdog Roskomnadzor to decide that. And so this new draft legislation, were it to become law, of course it hasn't become law yet, but lawmakers will be voting on it in the coming months. If it does become a law in Russia, then it could give the media watchdog even more authority to crack down on even access to these websites that it deems illegal. Among those, of course, is opposition figure Alexei Navalny's election monitor website, as well as a number of other websites that have information that many people would simply deem to be controversial, but here in Russia is considered extremist material. So there are certainly fears that this draft legislation, were it to become law, could lead to more of a crackdown on free speech and communications in Russia.